What better way for a son and father to bond over than their mutual love for the Dallas Cowboys? Hi, I'm Mack Davis with my dad, Mack. We're a star-studded son and dad duo on the star-studded Cowboys Network, powered by Fans First Sports Network and Boom Broadcasting. And this is Dad and the Boys. Free agency is over. We are looking forward to the NFL draft. And it's not Jerry Jones making the picks. It's this guy right here. My dad is going to play pseudo GM and draft for the Dallas Cowboys today on Dad and the Boys. If you're watching on Boom Broadcasting, if you're listening on Fans First Sports Network, we want to say thank you. And Dad, I hope you don't mess this up. What we're doing is this week, Dad has completed a mock draft, and he will be announcing his picks in real time. And I'm going to be asking him questions. I'm going to be putting him on the hot seat, just like I would Jerry Jones on our podcast, on our Fans First articles. So if you don't make a good pick, I'm going to ridicule you. Just don't disown me.
Okay.
But what we did is we used NFL Draft Buzz and their rankings, and we used a draft simulator 7 rounds for the Dallas Cowboys, and we used the standard Jimmy Johnson picks as well. So this is going to be
Jimmy Johnson trade chart.
Yes, the Jimmy Johnson trade chart.
Yeah.
And so, Dad, you're going to be on the clock today, and I just want to ask you, what is your approach to this draft for the Dallas Cowboys?
Well, as you said in the beginning, this is free agency is not necessarily over, but they're more focused on the draft at this point, and the big signings have already happened. Of course, they'll continue to fill out after the draft, but their focus is the draft. And so I looked at, where are they lacking? Is that running back, wide receiver, cornerback? Where can I get the best value in this draft? And let's get to it. And As of right now, I didn't realize the draft was already going on while we've been talking, and pick 11 is already in. And so, Dad, you're already on the clock. So we'll see what happens. Get your pick in, and we'll see who is the first Dallas Cowboy from this college ranking. Ashton Jeanty, Boise State running back. Yes.
Fan favorite. Dad, you're excited to get him.
I am. In all honesty, as I was sitting there on the clock, I'll be honest, I was torn, son. I was torn because I remember us playing Madden, and Tetairoa McMillan was there too on the board.
The Arizona wide receiver?
The Arizona wide receiver. And I know that the Dallas Cowboys are high on him, and they've already Jeanty's going to be coming into the one of their visits, and they're high on him as too. And I was like, man, I was like, do I take Jeanty or do I take McMillan?
You took Jeanty.
I took Jeanty. I mean, honestly, Jeanty is probably the second highest player in the league. I mean, in this draft, if not the first. Abdul Carter being number 1, I think, or Travis Hunter. Now, Hunter wasn't there, unfortunately. Our Tank for Hunter thing that we did never happened. But I was amazed at how this played out, and that I had my choice sitting at 12 to pick Jeanty or McMillan. And I was like, wow, what did I do? I just got to take Jeanty. I mean, we're so desperate at running back. I do not believe that Miles Sanders or Javonte Williams will be the lead back in there. So we need somebody. You're picking in the top 12, not where we're used to picking. You've got to get a generational talent. You've got to get somebody. And this kid checks all the boxes on the field, off the field. The talent's there. I was a little nervous with all the usage that he's had over his career at Boise State, but I mean, the kid's awesome. I mean, as we know, and we talked, and what almost swayed me was what I was like, if I take McMillan, I could still potentially get Hampton.
Oh, yeah.
But, oh my God, I was so afraid that if I missed out on both of those kids,
then you'd be really sad. And that makes sense.
And let's face it, Dax touches the ball every play, right? You got to have a running back. You got to have a wide receiver. And I figured this could be our version of the triplets with Ashton. And I remember back in 2016, what elevated our team was the way that Zeke was able to run the ball. And Schottenheimer's saying that he wants to run the ball this year. What better way to do it than the best running back in college football?
And I did release an article earlier today on Fans First Sports Network on FFSN.com talking about Brian Schottenheimer, how his contract lines up with Dak Prescott's contract and utilizing a run-pass balance that can open up the play action. And you need to start running back. And I was wondering if you would have taken McMillan and then bank on Hampton in the second round. That's not what you did.
I love Hampton.
You do.
I mean, I really do. I really do love Hampton. My eyes do not see me when I saw if Mack Brown hadn't quit giving that kid the ball, we wouldn't have been celebrating a Duke victory in Durham.
That is true. That is true. I'm glad he stopped handing the ball to Hampton. And it's interesting to note with McMillan and Jeanty right there at 12, you didn't trade up. So I want to know how aggressive you are moving forward, but you don't have to tell me your hand right now.
Well, I mean, you got to look at it. I mean, we don't have a 4th round pick. And is there somebody out there that can help us? We do need talent. We need more picks in the top 100. Now, I'm not going to just throw away my whole draft just to get a couple players. We have multiple spots that we can draft in. But, using the Jimmy Johnson trade chart, you're kind of limited. You can't – it ain't like Madden where you can go and sign free agents like we used to do and then trade them and then have a dead cap space and then clear that for a little bit of prestige. But, I mean, there's ways to manipulate that. But that's not what we're doing. We are allowing trades in the draft. But it's one of those things where, hey, the kid's there. And, I hope regardless of which way they do in real life, I'll be doing backflips if this is the opportunity that they have when they come on the clock at the end of April. If both of those guys are there and they get to choose, I don't know which one they would choose, but wow, what an option that would be.
Well, I think you picked a fan favorite here, and right now you talked through the entire first round. We're in the second round, and Dad, you're on the clock already. So let's see what you decide to do. Wow. Okay. So you take your running back first round, and then second round, instead of going wide receiver, you actually go defense. Jalen Walker. There's debate whether he's a linebacker or a defensive end. We just lost DeMarcus Lawrence. DeMarvion Overshown is coming back from a serious knee injury. What's your plans for Jalen?
I mean, we've got this year. I as a rookie, I look for him to be mainly a linebacker.
Okay.
Simply because we've got Dante Fowler. Hopefully, Sam Williams will be coming back. We've got the kid that we signed from the Saints that I think will have a really turnaround season. He was a former first-round draft pick, and we got the ever generational talent, Michael Parsons, coming at you, quarterbacks. And so, I mean, we've got Kenneth, the Murray kid that we got from Tennessee, former first-round pick. We got the kid that was with Eberflus, but he's probably going to be more of a depth player on the linebacker position and provide special teams talent. But Overshawn's coming back. Don't know what's going to be with our boy from LSU that he's
Damone
Clark that struggled a little bit. But hey, as much as I hate him, I respect the fact that if you've got Georgia always competing for the national championship or in the playoffs, they're doing it on talent. And so, as you've watched through the years, Philadelphia Eagles has repeatedly drafted Georgia players. They're the Georgia defense north, and that paid dividends this past season.
Unfortunately.
And so I'm going to take a play out of their book, and I'm going to draft this linebacker, and because we do need linebacker depth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's one of the positions that you got to have plenty of depth at, because you're going to have attrition throughout the season. They're going to get dinged up. They're the ones that fly around, and this kid is off. He can scoot, and he's ultra talented. So I just took a play out of their position, filled a couple needs in the first 2 rounds, and see what happens as we go through the rest. Hopefully, I can pick up a wide receiver. But I'm a little bit higher on Jalen Tolbert than a lot of people. And there again, you know, we used our 4th round last year or this year for a former 2nd round pick in Jonathan Mingo. That really did. He came on in the season.
I don't know if he ever came on.
Well, no. What I'm saying is we acquired him during the season, so really he hasn't had the training camp and the opportunity to adjust. And let's face it, when we did pick him up, I mean, our quarterback situation was different.
Yeah, and we'll see. But it is interesting to note, a lot of people do want to running back, at least in the first 2 rounds. You went ahead and got Jeanty in the first round. Wondering if you had, not gotten Jeanty and did McMillan, if you would have went running back 2nd round. But you did get Jalen Walker in the 2nd round.
And I've always said this, take the best player available, at a position of need. Okay. But do not reach. Because when we start reaching, that's when we get the Taco Charltons and the other busts that are the other guys that are performing less, like the Kevin Josephs.
Yeah. I mean, don't remind me. Those are gross.
Those are picks that when we reach and we're trying to draft to fill a need specifically, we usually end up regretting that decision.
And people say Dallas needs dogs, and they went literally. They got a dog. They got a former Georgia Bulldog with the 2nd round pick. But Dad, you're already on the clock. Round 3. Let's see what you do. Donovan Jackson is now a Dallas Cowboy. Dad, I was wanting some offensive line depth, and I'm a little upset because right now Terrence Steele is still a Dallas Cowboy, and Zach Martin's retired, so that right side of the offensive line, I don't know if it's as stable. I know we have Brock Hoffman. I know we have T.J. Bassett we could plug in, but, I mean, the first 3 rounds are notoriously known for you get your starters. Is Jackson a starter on this offensive line, and who would he replace?
Honestly, with this coaching staff that we have got this coming year, they are high on Terrence Steele. Now, they looked at his last few weeks of the season and stuff, and he was improving. I give him that. And hopefully he'll be further removed from his injury. And I hope Terrence Steele does great. But this is your notice, Terrence Steele. I'm bringing in Jackson. He ain't coming for Brock Hoffman's spot. If he has to take it, and he can take it, because I think Hoffman's going to surprise some people, then he's coming after your spot. Or maybe he does the left side. And let Guyton move over to the right side. Because Guyton, you struggled last year, son. You're not our typical 1st round draft pick celebration that we had. We had high hopes. Maybe you stay on the left side. Maybe you don't. We're going to get our best 5 out there. And I do believe Hoffman's going to be one of those. And I know BB will. And, hey, Tyler Smith, that's 3. The other 2's up for grabs, boys. Better come blazing this year.
Well, and that's what I was about to mention is Guyton, his college position was the right side, the right tackle. And then you have Donovan Jackson who played left tackle at Ohio State. So maybe that's the combo, and that gets us away from Terrence Steele. But okay. We have some breaking news here on Dad and the Boys. We were about to take a commercial break, but we got to get to this right now. This just in. The Dallas Cowboys and Carolina Panthers have agreed to a trade. The Cowboys trade up to pick 113 in round 4 and will receive a 7th round pick at 229. And Carolina will be receiving picks 150 and 170 in round 5, as well as picking up pick 249 in round 7. The Cowboys have traded up with the Carolina Panthers. So Dad has traded up into the 4th round. You mentioned Jonathan Mingo, and that trade got rid of our 4th round pick. After sleeping on Friday night, going into Saturday, you notice there's a player on the board who you want. Why were you aggressive enough to trade up?
Well, luckily we were able to get several comp picks, and especially in the 5th round. And so I was like, hey, I gave away my 4th round pick last year for Mingo. Hopefully it'll still work out, but there's so much talent on this board still left. And so I just saw the kid and I want to go get him.
Well, we'll find out who you traded up for. We are going to take a commercial break to pay the bills, but we'll be back. If you're watching on Boom Broadcasting, if you're listening to Fans First Sports Network, we'll be back with Dad and the boys after this commercial break. Welcome back, Dad and the boys. Michael Davis, my dad, Mack. He is doing the draft. Right now, we got Ashton Jeanty. We got Jalen Walker. We got Donovan Jackson. We're in day 3 of the NFL draft, rounds 4 through 7. It looked like it was going to be rounds 5 through 7, but Dad has traded up to the 4th round.
This, in all honesty, son, this is probably one of my favorite picks. And I'll tell you why after you go ahead and announce who I selected.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. Cam Scatterbo? Okay, whoa.
Hey. That one's for you, mouthing off with Mike. Now you got to pour for the boy with a star on his helmet. Not the devil. Not the sun devil. He's got the star, baby. He's got the star. And he's going to be running over your defense in Philly. That's right. Think about that. You've got Ashton Jeanty and Scatterbo running the ball in Dallas.
Well, all of a sudden, Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams don't have a job. But I'm like shocked because, if you had your eyes on Scatterbo, why you take Jeanty 1st round? Are you splitting the carries? Like, are you using Scatterbo in different? This blew my mind.
I'm using them both. They're going to like I said, we're running the ball, baby. We're going to run that ball. We're going to run that rock this year. That's the reason you offensive linemen, decide to dress that in the 3rd round with Jackson. We're going to have our best 5 out there. Shoot, we might even have 6 out there. We may put Scatterbo. Look, I like ingenuity. We'll put Scatterbo and Jeanty back there, and we'll even throw Turpin, maybe a little bit of CD Lamb back there. You never know who's getting the ball. Boys, I'm telling you, our offensive coordinator is a offensive line coach. Our new offensive line coach was at Kansas State. Both these boys know how to run the rock with subpar teams. Now I'm giving them an offense with a Ferrari engine for running the ball. Both these boys run the ball hard. Both of them successful college careers. And I'm just giving them the tools to be successful.
And obviously Cam Ward won the Heisman last year, but I think Ashton Jeanty was robbed of the Heisman. But I also think Cam Scatterbo should have been in the Heisman conversation for all he did at Arizona State.
Did you see how he lifted that entire team? How could you not want that on your football field?
Well, mouthing off with Mike's pretty upset right now.
Yeah, he is.
One of his favorite.
And look, that was kid still available in the 4th round.
And that's why you traded up.
I had a 2nd to 3rd round grade on the kid.
That's why you traded up.
And so I was like, look, I can package a couple 5ths, recoup a 7th, And you know what? Wide receivers, yeah, there was nobody on the board. I mean, nobody. And everybody thought I was going after a wide receiver because I hadn't dressed it. And so nobody just took him. They thought they could get him later. So, got a few calls about, hey, do I want to trade out of the pick? Nah, I went for him.
Wow. So Dad gets both Jeanty and Scatabo on the Dallas Cowboy roster. We're getting to that stage of the draft where it's all about addressing depth and getting players, maybe the best player available, maybe a guy you develop. So we'll speed up Saturday because Saturday can take a little while longer. But Dad, you're back on the clock, and we'll see what you got cooking right here. So the Dallas Cowboys go ahead, still haven't addressed wide receiver. They go after Tommy Hill. Daddy is interested to note Trayvon Diggs coming back from injury. Deron Bland was hurt for most of the year last year. Jordan Lewis leaves Dallas after a long time with the Cowboys to take a 3-year, $30 million deal, the biggest nickelback contract in the NFL. And so there's a gaping hole at corner. And we still haven't went out and got Stephon Gilmore as of right now. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah. But Tommy Hill, do you think he could be that nickel corner for Dallas?
Well, I mean, I think you play outside or the nickel, in all honesty. I had my eye on a kid from Parrish from Kansas State, but the board just didn't fall for us earlier in the draft. And I wanted the offensive lineman anyway. When I knew cornerback was something I needed to address, we did pick up Kazir Elam, a former first-round pick that I think's got some talent and hopefully will bring it to the fold this year as we're trying to get back to Trayvon Diggs getting back healthy. Deron Bland suffered injuries last year, so we do need to add depth in that room. We re-signed Israel Mukuamu. Who can play safety or cornerback for us, and so he was the top of my board when I went there. I mean, sometimes you just, you trust your board. Cornerback was a position that we were definitely gunning for. Travis Hunter wasn't there in the first, or we wouldn't have necessarily needed to make this pick. But I do believe that we've grabbed a solid young cornerback that can develop into something special for this team. Maybe in the likes of the ones that have preceded him and Deron Bland. Hopefully we've got the kid that we drafted in the 5th round last year coming back. Seatbelt Carson, can get healthy, have a good off season under his belt, and provide the depth, and we can solidify that room.
Well, Dad, you're sometimes long-winded. I love that about you. But you can't be long-winded when you have 2 picks and 3 because you picked 172, another team picked 173, and now you're at 174. So you've got to submit your selection. You ready?
I'm ready.
So you go out and get Tommy Hill, the corner, and then a couple picks later, you get his teammate, Jack Nelson. Again, addressing the offensive line. You mentioned you wanted to do that. Is Jack Nelson a potential sleeper to start?
I don't know about sleeper to start, but he definitely will be in the battle. I mean, because, again, we've got, I think, in my mind, when it comes to putting the best 5 out there, we've got three position solidified. That's the interior.
Okay.
And I do think that the tackles, and if you notice, both the young offensive linemen in this draft are tackles.
Okay.
So, I mean, nobody's safe at that position.
So not even Guyton, the former first-round pick, who's going into his 2nd year.
I have no pedigree for if you either perform or you move on.
Okay. Well, we'll move.
We're running the ball. And I like them corn-fed boys from Nebraska.
Well, we'll move on because all of a sudden we got 2 picks in the 5th round. Now we're moving to the 6th round. And Dad, you still haven't addressed wide receiver. And as far as my board's concerned, unless you do another trade, you only got 3 more picks left. So clock's ticking. We probably don't have another starter at wide receiver. We'll see if we get a free agent, but I don't know where you're filling out the depth right now. Okay, we finally got a wide receiver. I feel like, man, oh man, Dad, I remember watching the draft last year, and round after round after round, we expected Dallas to pick a running back, and they never did. So I was getting worried you weren't going to pick wide receiver because you might have faith in Tolbert, but I know we need some people. Brandon Cooks just left. He's a New Orleans Saints again. But no, with this Thornton pick, he's from Tennessee, but what I do notice is he is a big body, 6'5" frame. I know we utilize our tight ends in the red zone. CD's usually getting double teamed. I could see this. Is Thornton a red zone target for this team?
He can definitely come in and try to provide that for this team. Another body for the room. And, he's a late round draft pick, so you're looking for traits. The kid's got some size to him. He played at Tennessee. He's got some speed to him. So, you're just looking for what can be there for that trait, that skill. What can he provide to that room, to help complement CeeDee Lamb and Thornton and Turpin, or Tolbert and Turpin. I'm sorry. Thornton, hopefully he can come in and do that. And we'll see. But the draft's not over, folks. We may add more to that room as we go forward. Just depends on how the draft board falls.
Yeah, and what we're seeing right now is the Dallas Cowboys have 2 picks left, one in round 6 at 211. As of right now, pick 229 in round 7. Thanks to that trade with the Carolina Panthers. So the same trade that got Dallas to get Cam Scatterbo.
You're welcome, Mild and Awful Mike.
Oh, I can't wait to see him in the comments. Just like I can't wait to see what you picked in round number 6. Dad, why? I have so much Duke memorabilia around my room. We love going to these Duke football games.
We do.
We rooted against this guy in person when we beat you guys 21-20, coming back down 20-0. And you're going to put him on my Cowboys?
Well, yeah, I did. Again, you can never have too many defensive linemen. Kid's got talent. He really is. Watching his tape, he's got something there. And I think with our defensive line coaches, we can exploit that, add to it. Unfortunately, as I was coming up on these things, and I am partial to the Duke Blue Devils.
As you should.
That's like Pacquiao, wide receiver. It just never materialized. A couple of their defensive linemen I have my eyes on and hoping I could get them at the later rounds, and it just never would materialize. They get picked a couple spots ahead of me, or somebody stand out. Again, like Scatterbo.
Yeah, but it's just it's hard. Omari and Hampton, he ran us over so many times. I would have been like, okay, now I can see him run over somebody. But Ritzy, I will say I am surprised he's going as low as the 6th round.
I was totally blown away. He was at the top of my board.
I could see him being a 4th round pick, but all the way down to 6th. I will say
so
that
you can't fault the pick.
I can't fault the pick. I can just fault his choice in college teams, but he doesn't have a choice because you get drafted and you're now a Dallas Cowboy. But Dad, you got one more pick left.
And you got to understand too, son. When you're in these rounds, you're looking for traits. You're trying to keep from having to compete with other teams in free agency after the draft is over. We're pretty good at picking up free agents and them having success. I mean, you look at Romo, Miles Austin. I mean, several of our players have in the past have had that success to even be potential Hall of Famers, Ring of Honor inductees. Drew Pearson was undrafted back in the day. But you see, you're looking for that. But when you can sit here and look at your board and you say, well, I had a third, fourth round grade on this. Why am I still seeing this kid in the sixth?
Yeah.
Fifth round.
It makes you start to question why.
So you're like, why? I don't see any reason why. So you go ahead and pull the trigger and you take the kid. And you hope that, hey, you just uncovered this draft steal.
That would be awesome if he's able to produce for Dallas. But Dad, you got one more pick. I hear that it's already in. Again, day 3 usually flies by. So unless you trade back into the draft, this is your final pick. You ready?
We're good.
Well, so that looks like it. We have 2 wide receiver picks in the last 3 selections for Dallas in this draft. Unless you trade, are you trading in?
I think this will probably do it. I don't foresee us giving away future draft picks in future years or player or anything like that.
So you're calling it a day.
I think we're calling it a day. And this Western kid, I mean, he was good. I mean, he really did perform out in Colorado.
Do you think he was overshadowed by Travis Hunter?
Isn't everybody?
I mean, fair. All right, case closed.
Even Shedeur Sanders, I mean, who's going to go in the top 10. And he did in this draft, actually. He went, I want to say he went number 6 to the Raiders.
Wow. Cody from Drew Code Sports Talk would like that.
Shedeur went number 6. Travis Hunter, I'm wanting to say.
If he went to the Giants, don't tell me.
No, he went number 1. He went number 1 to Jack. Was it? No, not Tennessee. Where's Jacksonville draft? Number 2?
I think 4. It's okay.
He went to Jackson.
Okay, so that went to Jacksonville. But LeJohntay Wester, I mean, he's pretty small. He runs like a 4.46. Usually with these smaller frame guys, like you see a lot of speed. 4.46 might have been great like 10 years ago, but now it's almost slow.
Yeah, it ain't slow. It ain't that slow. I mean, because a lot of your cornerbacks are running 4.5s and stuff too. And there again, he's smaller. You put him in the slot, you let him go. Yeah, I mean, you can kind of rotate him and CD Lamb in that slot. And a lot of people go, well, we need speed. We need people that will catch the ball. The kid caught the ball. I mean, he's got good, reliable hands. He performed on tape. He showed it. Again, he was overshadowed by Hunter, but I mean, who isn't?
That's fair.
And unfortunately, the cards didn't stack where Hunter fell to number 12. I love Jeanty and I love this draft that I've compiled, but Travis Hunter would be a number 12 pick. Yeah, I'd have rolled on and moved on and done cartwheels on the screen, and yeah, that would have been a sight to see, wouldn't it?
I mean, I've never seen it, so it would have been a sight to see for me. But you're seeing the full 7-round mock draft of my dad, Mack, scrolling at the bottom. I do want to hear your comments. Grade it A to F if you feel so inclined.
Hey, no mouthing off my mic. You can't grade it F just because I took you, boy.
But we want to hear from you guys what you thought of Mack's mock draft. How are you feeling after this draft?
I think we solidified some slots. We still got some stuff we can do in free agency. I know that the team itself has talked about, and Stephen Jones has talked about a quarterback in this draft. It never lined up. And I'm sorry, when I'm sitting there and I've got to pick either Scatterbo or
a backup
Tommy Hill, a quarterback we need one, or Jack Nelson. the quarterbacks that were available wasn't that didn't stand out to me. And there again, for quarterbacks, this is a top heavy draft anyway. I mean,
if that.
The one quarterback I had my eye on was there was two that, and I've seen rumors around the internet that they're Quinn Ewers falling, and he didn't fall far enough in this draft for me to get him. And the other one was the kid from Notre Dame.
Riley Leonard.
Riley Leonard, but he went like 4th round in this draft. And
wow.
I was like, that to me was too rich for my blood, especially knowing that we're drafting a backup quarterback that he's not going to start.
Yeah, and you do want to fill out depth on people who you want to play, and hopefully Dak is healthy. Again, I dropped an article on ffsn.com today about Brian Schottenheimer, Dak Prescott, that relationship and how their contracts align.
Right. And you got Dak for 4 years, and you draft a kid in the 5th round, and that's about the round I was looking at quarterback trying to do something, 5th or 6th.
Their rookie contracts up.
Their rookie contracts up. So, I mean, then you're replacing your entire quarterback room. And, I mean, I'm sorry, I just I wasn't sold on any of the candidates that was still on the board to the point where I would have went above the kids that I did.
Well, and that's totally fair. And I agree with that assessment, not taking a quarterback in this draft. But Dad, you got the spotlight today. I think I can do better. How about next week? I play pseudo GM. I draft and I beat yours.
Are you going to take my picks and try to do it? And maybe trading future picks to get a few extra.
There's
not much chance you're going to beat me.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm gonna beat you, Dad. I'm gonna beat you. Everybody, great dads. And then next week you'll see mine, and then you'll lower Dad's grades and then bump mine up. I mean, we're breaking the scale next week. We're going A++, 2 pluses.
And in all honesty, Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, Will McClay, we hope you get 3 A's plus. That's what the one we want. I mean, our mock drafts are great. They're great entertainment. Enjoy doing them. And we'll probably have one right before the draft itself.
Oh, yeah.
This was after the bulk of the
free agency
and the bulk of the combine and stuff like that. But I'm kind of interested in seeing what it looked like, as we're getting closer to the draft.
Oh, yeah. Well, next week, we'll do an episode. I'll do my mock draft. I'll beat Dad. And you guys can watch on Boom Broadcasting. You can listen on Fans First Sports Network. And you can subscribe. But until then, guys, we appreciate you all for watching and listening. And remember, this is our first rodeo. And we'll catch you here on Dad and the Boys.
Before you go, and on our social media, I got a special surprise for you. So watch our social media, Boom Broadcasting, to celebrate this episode of Dad and the Boys.
We'll catch you here next time.